In the second watch, is the church prepared for an aging population? For our social media question, we ask, is the church doing enough to help our aging population? We're asking you to share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and the YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's our quote.
All right, so this morning's quote says, "Your light may irritate a lot of unhealed people. Shine anyway."
Okay. Good morning, Joka.
Good morning.
Heard you preaching this morning from what? Zephaniah?
Zephaniah 3:17.
Yeah. About what? Love or something like that?
No, basically just the Lord exalting over you and rejoicing over you with gladness, I believe, or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
the topic was the Lord is in your midst.
Is in your midst. Okay.
Yeah.
I was listening for the altar call. Didn't hear it.
That's your thing.
The first touch will be back after this break. Yes, sir.
No, not yet.
I wish I could reduce my electricity bills.
I wish I could live more sustainably.
Get a Stancy Bank mortgage from November 11, 2024 to January 31, 2025. And you could be a lucky winner in the Stancy Bank mortgage Green Wish promotion. There are 3 grand prizes of energy-saving appliances to be won. Get a Stancy Bank mortgage and make your green wish come true. Visit StancyCo.com. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58B of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Every day I get bigger, every day I get better. I'm a star and I shimmer. Watch me grow, I'm a winner, yeah. Every step that I take, oh yeah. Feeling great cause I'm learning, yeah. I'm a star and I shimmer. Watch me grow, I'm a winner, yeah. La 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 la. Watch me grow with a last
Help support their mental development at this important stage with a unique combination of nutrients from a Lacta Plus. This product is not intended to be a substitute for breast milk.
You are a fabric.
First Division Apostolic Ministries invites you to their 2nd anniversary service and their 1st annual convocation under the theme, Our Sovereign God Calls Unto Him. Sunday, December 1, 11 a.m. and evening services from Sunday to Friday, December 1 to 6, 7 p.m. each day. Don't miss a choirs and praise on Friday, December 6. Hosted by Dr. Patricia Holness. Speakers include Elder Ralph Tomlinson, Elder Glenroy Prendergast, Evangelist Michelle Williams, Evangelist Gary Griffiths, Deacon O'Neill Prendergast, and guest speaker Pastor Dwight Sims. Join online on YouTube and Facebook at First Division Apostolic Ministries. Zoom 939-549-5845. Live broadcast each evening on Love 101. The First Division Apostolic Ministries 22nd anniversary service and 1st annual convocation, December 1 through to 6, 12 Job Lane, Spanish Down. Don't you miss it. It's another time for engagement and fun interaction this coming Saturday, November 13th, as Love 101 FM goes live from Host Hardware and Supplies Limited, 4 Bevon Penn, St. John's Road, Spanish Town. It's a whole vibe, a good vibe, and a great time as we tell you about the plenty things Host Hardware has in store for you. Join us live on location. Come see if you can find me. It's Host Hardware Customer Appreciation Day for Bevon Penn, St. John's Road, Spanish Town, St. Catherine, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. this Saturday, November 13th. Secure your receipt after shopping for the big prize of the day. Live highlights will be on the family station, Love 101. This Friday will be another mega fantastic live encounter as Love 101 makes its way to Mega Mart in cool Mandeville. Come on out and shop till your cart full up and enter to win one of 4 brand new Christmas kitchen sets available at each location of Mega Mart. You heard right. You can win a brand new fridge, new microwave, new stove. Just purchase $6,000 or more plus tax and fill out the form and enter to win. And there's more. You can even win monthly prizes too. Join Love 101 on location and come shop at Mega Mart Mandeville. Listen live for the fun. One mega lot of fun indeed. This Friday, November 29, we are live 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
GK1 now introduces third-party motor insurance from GK General Insurance. Download and log into the GK1 app. Then select one of 3 affordable third-party options, 25, 35, or 40,000 annually. But there's more. For a limited time, when you purchase a third-party insurance on the GK1 app, you get $1,000 in your GK1 wallet. Yes, money back just like that. One app, 3 motor insurance options from GK General Insurance. Download and insure your car on the GK1 app today.
The report is out.
What report?
The Constitutional Reform Committee's report of recommendations.
Recommendations on what?
On how we move from a monarchy to a republic, of course.
So what's in it?
The creation of the office of president and changes to our parliament. Yes, man. It also includes a new qualification for membership in parliament. I know you want to see that one.
Read the full report at roadtorepublic.nlca.gov.jm.
We are on the road to republic.
The festival is having the biggest show of the year for 2 days only. November 29th and 30th, from 50% off place plus Friday. Double deal of 30% off selected items until December 2nd. Follow Mashko on all socials at Mashko Jamaica for more information. Love your Kalina and subscribe to Mashko YouTube channel for the biggest sale of the year. Mashko, the story that gives you more.
Attention small and medium-sized businesses. Love 101, Jamaica's #1 gospel and family station, is bringing you Season Splendor, your chance to boost holiday sales and showcase your products to Jamaica.
Imagine your business promoted on Love 101 FM radio and social media, plus live on-air interview opportunities leading up to and during the event.
Visit love101.org or call us to register today.
Spaces are limited, so don't wait. Register now to secure your booth at Season Splendor.
Remember, visit love101.org to register or just click the link in our Instagram by Let's Make This Season Unforgettable.
And make this Christmas your most successful one yet.
Every Saturday, 7 p.m. to midnight on Love 101. You're invited to travel in time with music at its limits. Gospel music machine with the gospel music master. From your favorite choir music to Christian contemporary, a touch of reggae and the Caribbean feel.
Gospel music machine.
Nigel play the tune. Yep, the gospel music master is still playing the tunes down alone. And he's definitely your music master. Saturdays, 7 p.m. to midnight. You won't regret the link. It's on the family station, Love 101.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today, 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. It's the telephone counseling and prayer ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. A reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
When I come to the end of myself, carry me.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us and being so patient. We apologize for the delay. I'm Dylan Toussaint, your host. At least two major announcements were made at the recent Jamaica Labour Party conference. The first was that there will be a 53% reduction in the general consumption tax on electricity from the current 15% to 7%. The second was a 3-month amnesty for pensioners and persons in need based on the path assessment, resulting in their outstanding NWC debts written off. Now, there have been, as expected, mixed reactions to the announcements. And to discuss these reactions, we have online Dr. Nadine Spence, social commentator, and Michael Diamond, attorney at law and president of Consumers Intervention Jamaica. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, listeners.
Great. Good to have you both with us. Happy that you're able to connect with us eventually. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what are your opening comments on the announced upcoming NWC amnesty and reduction in the tax on electricity? Beginning with you, Dr. Spence.
I think one of the concerns I think that this government has had is a concern that I think in many places across the world is the cost of living. And so I think governments are thinking about how do they bring the cost of living down so that people are, find it easier to manage and are able to respond better to the financial challenges that they face. And I think one of the strategies that certainly the Prime Minister spoke of, one of the concerns the Prime Minister spoke of when he was addressing the conference.
I'm so sorry, Dr. Spence. I'm so sorry. We're already up on a break. All right, we'll be right back.
Time is down 7:15. We go right back to the Morning Watch.
Okay, welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. We are discussing in the first watch understanding the NWC amnesty and the reduction in electricity tax. We have online Michael Diamond, who is the president of Consumers Intervention Jamaica, and Dr. Nadine Spence, social commentator. Before the break, you were expressing your opening comments, Dr. Spence.
I was saying I think it's a response to these challenges that consumers are facing. And I think as well, any government that is facing re-election is going to have to seek to respond to these challenges. I think governments generally have to respond to the cost of living challenges because across the globe, countries citizens are talking about it and are putting governments out of office because the cost of living is way too high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Mr. Diamond, your opening thoughts?
Well, of course, as far as some consumers are concerned, whenever there is a mention of amnesty, it is quite a balancing act for any government due to the fact that it's almost as if you want to reward individuals who are not, positively supporting basically they're not contributing. They're not contributing to the process, so they shouldn't be benefiting from it. But nevertheless, it takes some consideration to grant an amnesty. And unfortunately, the timing, looks more politically motivated than anything else, but it is a welcome thing. The reality of it is that we have to make sure that we're not just simply pacifying a situation and look for other solutions that could have allowed these individuals to contribute, rather than simply saying, a debt forgiveness each time this occurs. Because every time there's an amnesty, there's always pushback from those who are actually paying their bills and struggling to pay their bills, to say, well, hey, what about us that are actually paying? Where's our discount? Because we don't benefit from that.
Yeah.
Better off I didn't pay at all. So this is a balancing act that we cannot always look for amnesties, but we should look for long-term solutions that can actually benefit the majority rather than seem as if we're rewarding those that are not actually contributing in the first place.
Of course, there are those who regard the PM's announcement as an election ploy. And as you said earlier, Michael Diamond, the timing. Indeed, I think economist Damien King reportedly styled it as a bad move from every angle by arguing that it will also disincentivize the transition to solar. Your responses, Dr. Spence, first?
Well, I think the transition to solar that we imagine is not going to go the way we imagine. You know what I mean? It's very costly. I have a PhD and I work at the university. I couldn't transition to solar. It's too expensive. And I think that's one of the things we need to talk about right now. What are the real barriers to getting solar energy? The average Jamaican can't afford it. So if we want to talk about something that will pose a challenge to people switching to solar, let's talk about the real barriers to entry. Because an amnesty is because there's a GCT cut on electricity and an amnesty to the most vulnerable in respect of those who are on the PATH program and have accumulated a balance that they cannot readily pay off. Those could never be seen as barriers to
what about the timing though, Dr. Spence? In this election year.
But that is what governments do and committees do. Why is it that in Jamaica we seem to think that there is some nastiness about people? That's what we want them to do. We want them to put people votes and to point to the issues that people face, and this is a response, whether it's 2 days before the election or 2 days after the election. It's a political party. It is a political strategy, but it doesn't mean it's a dirty word. That's what governments do. They seek to be re-elected.
So it's okay.
I think it's very naive for us to think that because, it's an election strategy. Is it going to happen? Are we going to benefit from it? If they would have the potential to bring down the cost of living, that's what is important. If it is that it stays on those grounds, then yes, we can call it a ploy. But if it does those things, it does what it's supposed to do, respond to the cost of living challenges.
Michael Diamond, your response?
Well, definitely, again, when we look at these things, yes, we can't ignore the political motive. But nevertheless, we also have to look at the science and the economics of it. Just simply saying solar as if it's a viable alternative, it actually isn't. So when you consider the fact that where solar energy is concerned, there are environmental issues that will impact the viability of that, because the sun may be out and it's cloudy. There's no activity at that point. So we need something that is stable, sustainable, where everyone can actually benefit from that. The timing of it, as Damien King says, of course, it does. We're looking to shift behavioral change in Jamaica, and not just simply, these pop-up things that we want to just stimulate individuals just because of an election. We have to look at long-term, and that is a part of the challenge that we've always had. We don't have sustainable programs that continue regardless of whether it's a political year or not. So while these may have some benefits, we also have to look at what are the long-term goals that we are hoping to achieve, because we don't want individuals just simply not paying their utilities so that we can have another amnesty in another 5 years. We don't want that. We need to create a situation where individuals can contribute to paying their utilities rather than, because many of the individuals whom they're attempting to say that this will support, many of them are not actually regularized on JPS system to begin with. So we have to be very mindful of what message we're actually sending, the perception we're sending, because we do want those individual customers that can legitimately contribute to continue to do so.
If you don't know that, with all due respect, the Prime Minister was very specific about who the persons were that this particular measure would target. It would be those persons on path who are the most vulnerable. We have them in every society who are finding it hard to survive. These are not lawbreakers. These are people who are on the system and who have a bill that they cannot pay because energy costs are very high in Jamaica. And so the typical consumer is, let's say, the middle class consumer, teacher, doctor, lawyer. I find it difficult to manage JPS bill, much more the helper or the people who are living day to day. Those are the people this measure targets. It's not the people who are not paying bills. It's the people who are on the PATH program or who are on the poor relief program, who have a balance with the JPS, and they cannot pay it. It's the people who are on the grid, the poorest of people on the grid who have a balance.
Well, you know, one of the things that we also have to consider is that do we actually need to intervene if these organizations already have programs that can actually assist without this particular type of remedy? You know, again, it's a balancing act. And instead of always looking to band-aid a situation, we have to look at how we can take individuals out of that situation to begin with and make them be able to contribute. So there are many other factors that we may need to address in order for us to not reach here again.
But isn't that dealing with, is it that we do not seem to put those who are the poorest and the vulnerable? I don't know what that number is, but if we check that number, that's not going to be an overwhelming amount of people. It's going to be retirees, those people who are more likely to not be able to afford food, to not be able to deal with hunger.
It's on that note.
We have to make the necessary. We have to take the necessary steps to ensure that those who are most vulnerable, the poorest among us, are not left to starve. We have to do that. And so I don't think this is just an arbitrary thing that is just thrown at everybody. The middle class and those there are those people as well, the teacher, the social worker, those who owe money to the JPS, they're not getting that help. It's to a very specific set of people.
On that note, let me just interject here because yesterday the Gleaner reported that the water minister, Matthew Samuda, has argued that the debt forgiveness will return comfort and dignity to our pensioners and those living below the poverty line. So I think he's agreeing with what Dr. Spence just said. Michael Diamond, your response?
Yeah, again, you know, while that may be very noble, we're always going to look at how will this be managed? How will this verification process be? Is it going to be a process that also frustrate the opportunity that they're presenting? I don't mind, but again, as I said, we should look for the long term. We should look at how to remove individuals from path, not look at ways that we're going to keep them and sustain them in path. So when we're just looking at one side of the spectrum, we need to look at the fact that who created these situations to begin with. Poverty is not something that we cannot eradicate. We can, rather than simply, you know, basically doing these band-aids rather than doing the things we need to do to get individuals in a place where costs of living actually match, you know, because we, of course, you know, all our bills and expenses have outpaced our salaries. Certainly that is the case. And many individuals who supposed to be able to afford it can't. So can just imagine for those who are living below the poverty line, as they said. So we need to look at this holistically and not just simply segment individuals in the population. That doesn't remove them from their condition, but rather to keep them in it.
But as a long-term situation, is it not, Michael Diamond?
That's the thing. We don't want
that's the argument.
We need to do the things that will remove them from that. So again, what we have here is a perception. The perception is bad timing. The perception, again, we want to do everything to support and keep individuals poor. We don't want that. What is a situation that allowed them to be in this condition, and how we can create and put things in place that are sustainable and substantive enough so that we don't have to be having these situations to say we have individuals living below the poverty line.
Dr. Spence, there are those who are remembering the so-called run with it statement by Dr. Omar Davis. And they're saying that the present government at the time in opposition was against that sort of terminology and philosophy. And yet still, in a sense, they're arguing that they're doing a similar thing now. What's your take on that?
No, I don't think so. I think when the Prime Minister was setting up his speech, he contextualized that he was going to suggest some response to the situation that was unfolding in Jamaica. And I think that's what we want governments to be responsive.
No similarity to run with it. No similarity.
What with what? That is look here, one of the things we do very well in Jamaica now is that we set up a political tit for tat. What is happening in Jamaica now? People are finding it difficult to manage because the cost of living is high.
They had then as well.
Those who are poorest and then we couldn't afford it. We couldn't afford it. Then remember, Jamaica is now in a very different position. There was a time when perhaps we couldn't have announced a raft of measures to deal with the most vulnerable and the poorest. I have no problems with it because I happen to see the realities of the cost of living on Jamaicans who cannot afford it. And I know that those people welcome this relief. I know that people welcome the relief of the cut of the GCT on electricity costs. And I know people on PATH and the retirees not all retirees have a problem with electricity costs or water costs, but those who do are going to welcome this. And I think we have to be a society that understands how society is arranged enough so that we know that different people will need different interventions. Different people get different interventions. When, for example, we want organizations to grow. The stock exchange has a junior stock exchange that gives them tax relief and they're able to go and put their money back into building their businesses. Different groups of people get different kinds of measures that will foster growth. In the end, we hope that this will create the kind of society so that we don't always have to be bailing people out. But for now, Jamaica isn't there yet. Okay. And we cannot be a society that is not bothered by the reality of the poorest among us. Okay. I think it's a kind of hypocritical thing. We have to recognize that different people are different.
Got to leave it there.
Of the economic system.
Got to leave it there. Yeah. Got to run. Not running with it, but got to run. Thank you so very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Have a safe day.
Always a pleasure.
Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Get the best holiday shopping deals this festive season at the J Mall. November 29 to December 1 at the parking lot of J Bank Halfway Tree. The time on Jamaica National Groove is
7:30.
Like red grape, strawberry, peach, any celebration, the buckle of reach, pink and blue, magic papa, baby shower, mixed food, pineapple, coconut, good for every hour. I'm the Jamaican sorry, mix are straight, everybody can manage.
Make magical moments with Magic Sparkling. You hear the news? PM Financial give them customers cash back for the Christmas. Cash back! They can get up to $15,000 with the loan disbursed. That's true. Plus, them increase the loan amount so you can get anything you want. And with every loan, you get a free gift. Please apply now at loansale.infinancialja.com or WhatsApp 876-437-392. Make sure you apply early. Promotion ends January 31st. Conditions apply.
Once upon a time, there was a girl named Kay. She loved to dance and play. One day at school, she got very ill, and Mom was left with an unbearable bill. It would be easier if Mom was prepared. With school companion, 80% of the bill is cleared. Medical care for children is a must. For as low as $2,540 per month, make unbearable medical bills go away. Sign up for Surgical School Companion today. Conditions apply.
Every day I get bigger, every day I get better. I'm a star and I shimmer. Watch me grow, I'm a winner, yeah. Every step that I take, oh yeah. Feeling great cause I'm learning, yeah. I'm a star and I shimmer. Watch me grow, I'm a winner, yeah. La 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 la. Watch me grow with a last plus.
Help support their mental development at this important stage with a unique combination of nutrients from Lactobus. This product is not intended to be a substitute for breast milk.
GK1 now introduces third-party motor insurance from GK General Insurance. Download and log into the GK1 app. Then select one of 3 affordable third-party options, 25, 35, or 40,000 annually. But there's more. For a limited time, when you purchase a third-party insurance on the GK1 app, you get $1,000 in your GK1 wallet. Yes, money back just like that. One app, 3 motor insurance options from GK General Insurance. Download and insure your car on the GK1 app today.
This is a public service announcement from Flow. Starting January 1, 2025, Flow will fully transition to electronic billing, offering customers a faster, more convenient way to manage their accounts. This move is part of Flow's commitment to enhancing customer experience. To ensure you receive your e-bill by email, update your information today via WhatsApp at 876-620-2200. You can also access your bill anytime through the MyFlow Self-Care app. For questions, our customer service team is ready to assist via WhatsApp at 876-620-2200. That was a public service announcement from Flow.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing in the Gleaner. More than 30,000 to benefit from NWC debt forgiveness. Also in the Gleaner, we are literally sinking. SIDs or SIDS leave latest climate talks dissatisfied. And in the Observer, Cuba is prepared for second Trump term. And also in the Observer, British man spared jail time, fined 750,000 Jamaican dollars for cocaine found in his slippers. Those are some of the major stories in our newspapers. Well, coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. Is the church doing enough to help our aging population? We're asking to leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
Once upon a time, there was a girl named Kay. She loved to dance and play. One day at school, she got very ill, and Mom was left with an unbearable bill. It would be easier if Mom was prepared. With school companion, 80% of the bill is cleared. Medical care for children is a must. For as low as $2,540 per month, make unbearable medical bills go away. Sign up for Surgical School Companion today. Conditions apply.
Black Friday with the madness. Black Friday with the madness. Black Friday with the madness. Get ready to make up for our biggest sale of the year. It's one massive. It's the weekend. Every single item in store. The Saturday special.
Alright, well,
It's your products to Jamaica. Imagine your business promoted on Love 101 FM radio and social media, plus live on-air interview opportunities leading up to and during the event.
Visit love101.org or call us to register today.
Spaces are limited, so don't wait. Register now to secure your booth at Season Splendor.
Remember, visit love101.org to register, or just click the link in our Instagram by Let's Make This Season Unforgettable.
And make this Christmas your most successful one yet.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, as we segue into the second watch, it is said that an increasing number of people are living many years after retirement. Now, potentially, these persons are great resources for the church, but their needs oftentimes seemingly overshadow such resources. And so, with an aging population, are churches efficiently and effectively caring for their elderly members and friends? Well, to discuss this and related issues, we have joining us Dr. Julian McCoy Davis, Senior Lecturer at the UWI and the Chairman of the National Council for Senior Citizens, as well as Dr. Michael Coombs, Founder and Chairman of National Association for the Family. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yes, great. Good to have you both with us. Beginning with you, Dr. McCoy Davis. What really constitutes an aging population, and what are the factors which have aided in Jamaica being so?
Okay, so when we talk about an aging population, we're talking about at least 7% of your population over the age of 60. And so for Jamaica, we have accepted 60 in accordance with the United Nations as the age at which we consider somebody to be older. And so based on our current demographics or data in Jamaica, we're finding that approximately 13% of our population is already over the age of 60. All right. When we get to a 20% proportion of our population being over the age of 60, we would have been considered to have a super aged population. So the point is, we are now in this phase of having an aging population. So we're going to see different situations arising that we have to pay particular attention to as far as this age group is concerned.
And just for clarification, before you mention the factors, is it 60 and over or over 60?
60, age 60 and over.
Okay.
All right. So in terms of the factors that would have contributed, I would say drawing on a very successful campaign that would have been done years ago in terms of family life and family planning, looking at trying to contain Jamaica's population. So you would recall the 2 is better than too many campaign years ago, in which persons were encouraged to have 2 children at most. And so with that, we have persons, and as well as the advance in healthcare and technology, persons are living longer. And we're having less persons being born, but we have persons living longer because of advance in healthcare.
Okay. Dr. Coombs, generally speaking, would you regard the church as consisting of an aging population? And if so, tell us why.
Yes, morning again. Absolutely. I think if we were to do surveys, it would be clear that many of our churches, most of them perhaps, aging congregations.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to emphasize what was said by my other guest just now, that we are seeing the population pyramid change over the past generation or so, and is becoming more top heavy for the reasons that were shared. But yes, our churches are one of the entities that have been seeing this, in their congregation, and of course there are implications for that and certain needs that have to be met. I just want to say at the very outset, Dr. Toussaint, that we may not link the two, but one of the things that we have to think about, which is really has become really an urgent issue when it comes to demographics,
Mm-hmm.
is the fact that our total fertility rate is now below replacement.
Yeah.
And I don't know if your listeners, understand what that means, but basically it's the number of children born to a woman during her lifetime. And the replacement level is 2.1, and we're now below that at 1.9, the last statistic. And in fact, it's reported to be lower by some reports. And this is a global problem in many countries.
Mm.
And has implications for even the age, because the dependency ratio, is going to be affected by that in terms of the healthy working population. And that is something that the church, so we don't have to attend to. We don't just have to deal with the age population, which is important. We have to look at ways to do that. But we also have to encourage marriage and the family the way God intended. And we have to find a way to encourage more of our young people, not in a very indiscriminatory, responsible way, but to begin having children again. It's a worldwide problem.
Yeah, you like to say anything on that, Dr. McCoy Davis?
Right. I just want to support Dr. Coombs on that point, because it is, in fact, a challenge that we're going to be seeing. We're not seeing as much of it now, but it will be something that presents itself in the future. So as Dr. Coombs mentions in terms of the population pyramid, just think about the pyramid being a regular triangle. And so what is happening now is that the base is typically normally very wide at the bottom. But what we are seeing is that the bottom is getting very narrow and the top. So we're having an inverted pyramid. That's what it's beginning to look like. So what it means is that in the long term, in the future, we're not going to have as many young persons. So in terms of generations, we're going to have a lot of persons living longer, living older, but fewer children in our societies.
Interesting stuff, doctors. We're up on a break, and we'll be right back to hear more about this aging population, both in terms of the nation as a whole and in particular the churches. Listeners, we'll be right back.
I love doing my own thing, so to have to live by my landlady rules, kind of rough. I can only park near the front gate to the right of the mango tree, but not on the lawn. Well, I fulfill two dreams with one Jane Bank savings plan enough. I buy my dream home and I live by my own rules.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
The community events from come together as a cheap vibe, so we play games and we have to eat food, so we appeal so we can show up. The taste of victory. Backyard barbecue, ice cream, perfect room.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit account puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in this, the second watch, we are asking the question, is the church prepared for an aging population? And in so doing, we have online Dr. Michael Coombs and Dr. Julian McCoy Davis. Dr. Coombs, you first. I'm just trying to drill down the concerns about the fertility rate. Any ideas as to why that is so? I mean, I know that we had the two is better than one two is better than too many campaign years ago. But are there other reasons for this that you'd like to share with us?
Sure. As I said, this is a global problem. There are countries now who are grappling seriously with it, like China, the United States, Canada,
Japan,
other countries in Europe, and so on. And they are now becoming mainly countries of immigrants. So there are many factors. Some have said the campaign in Jamaica was too successful. And just as China limited their couples to one child.
Yeah.
So there's something, Dr. Toussaint, that's affecting our young people. And it's not rocket science, I guess. They are very afraid of the economics. I mean, I have grown kids, I suspect, as you guys do. And they're deathly afraid of what it costs to have a child. So the economics is there. Many of them are just not able to establish themselves, young people that is, and feel as if they're ready to raise a family. And I'm sure there are other factors, the whole cultural influences in terms of relationships, the whole movement away from the nuclear family and God's approach to family life, which is really to the detriment of every society from research. These are just some of the things that has resulted in young people just not wanting to enter into stable lifelong relationships and to raise a family. And it is really, I cannot overstate how serious this is. As Dr. Davis said, we might not see the consequences right away. Other countries are ahead in the problem, and they are beginning to really panic about it in terms of their workforce and the economic health of the countries and so on. But those are just some of the reasons that I think we're having. And then on top of that, there's this push for abortion. But let's not go there in this discussion.
Dr. McCoy Davis, you'd like to add any other possible reasons?
Just the influence of culture. Dr. Coombs is really on point, but just the influence of culture and how much it is that we are exposed to other societies and what it is that they have been doing and how acceptable it is, for example, to move from relationships to relationships and just different things that persons are engaged in. So with the use of technology, with the use of contraceptives, and among other things, as well as education. So, for example, for women are becoming more educated. They're spending more time in doing education. And so for them, having children is not necessarily the priority right away. They're trying to advance themselves academically. That's the response you'll get sometimes before considering a family. So, there are different factors at play.
It sounds as if some of the good things, quote unquote, have now had some negative results in terms of education, the family planning emphasis. Two is better than too many. But what do you think are the main challenges associated with an aging church and society? Dr. Coombs and then you, Dr. McCoy Davis.
Okay, all right. So what has happened with the Asian population is that we have certain health consequences, the chronic diseases, and so on. Jamaica, like other countries in the world, they have gone through in the last generation or two what we call an epidemiological transition from mainly the infectious diseases as cause of death to the chronic disease because of better, healthcare with antibiotics and so on. And so we now have as the leading causes of mortality being the chronic diseases, heart conditions, the cancers, diabetes, and so on. So as a church, we will have to pay attention to those. And it's not just how we manage those things, I am very strong, and that is why I'm a public health person in the prevention side of things. So one of the things the churches will have to do is not only to really form a support system for those already with these chronic conditions, a system, and that by that we may have to consider, churches will have to consider, for example, establishing partnerships with, home for the aged, nursing homes, assisted living facilities. They might not be able to establish. Some churches have established these facilities by themselves and manage them, but not all denominations can do that. It might, in that case, form partnerships. But in addition to that, Dr. Toussaint, we have to really join forces with other entities like the Ministry of Health and promote things like, healthy lifestyle practices, being physically active even when you're over 60. I mean, there are things they can do that the church no longer can just focus on the sermons and evangelism, which are very critical, of course, but they now need to take care of the temple. And, encourage exercise, have classes where it can be held at the churches, and have persons talk about diet and other healthy lifestyle practices. So that are some of the things that come to mind, really.
Yeah. Dr. McCoy Davis, your take?
Yes, Dr. Toussaint, I want to say that with an aging population in our church, in our churches, we're seeing it. We're seeing the demographics of the not a lot of young persons being engaged in church, and we're seeing the older members. Now, the older persons in church are the people who, many of them are still active, but some are kind of reaching that stage where they're petering off and they're not able to contribute as much as they used to. So in terms of the church's response, and I don't want to put the church as a collective because different churches are doing different things. There are some churches that are doing very well, that have senior citizens ministry, that have aging ministry, that has outreach, they visit the shut-ins and all of that. So not all churches are having that problem. But one of the concerns that is evident is that we tend to consider that every older person is needy or in need of. And so with that, that perspective or response tends to be one of
mendicancy.
Yes, it's kind of a negative response. But the truth is, for example, data out of Mona Aging and Wellness Center would have shown that approximately 90% of our older adults are in fact independent.
Yeah.
And so if they're independent and active, it means that we need to find appropriate interventions to support them. So they are now retired. How is it that as a church, we can engage them in meaningful activities for them to be able to contribute to church development and also to themselves? Because studies show that the more engaged you are, it improves and maintains your quality of life. All right. So if we can develop appropriate programs, exercise programs, as Dr. Coombs mentioned, as well as other social engagement activity, whatever it is, art and craft or whatever, find out, every church is unique. Every community is unique. What you will do in one community will not work in another community.
Right.
All right. So find out what the needs are of your church, what it is the older persons would prefer to do, and find appropriate ways to engage them.
Yeah. One of the things I'm believing is already happening or may continue is the possible response of the younger people to the older persons in church, because you have some persons have a perception that church is a young people church, that church is an old people church, and therefore that determines whether they attend or not. How do we address those issues, Dr. McCoy Davis?
All right. So one of the things that we can do, Dr. Toussaint, is to engage in meaningful, what we call intergenerational activities.
Okay.
So activities that bridge the divide. As you say, some persons might label this the old people church or the young people church. And so never the twain shall meet. The two not going to want to be together. But we have to find meaningful activities. We have to find situations, for example, or choirs, or praise team, or bands or music band, different
combining both age groups.
Combine the age groups. Great. And let them work together So, that is that kind of transfer of information. Have activities, for example, where they have cooking teams or different teams, and they have to work together, quiz competition, whatever it is, but find different ways to engage different age groups, because there's a lot that the older person can teach a young person. There's a lot that a young person can teach an older person.
Right.
How about the young people teaching your older person how to use the smartphones or how to use a computer? So find different ways to bring the two groups together.
Yeah. Dr. Coombs, your take on that?
Right. Very well said by Dr. Davis. I just add that, for example, and it was implied in what she said, that, for example, in our church in Mandeville, we have established a mentorship program. The older, population, those who are willing and available to be involved in mentorship, because the scriptures make it very clear. There's a reason why God created generations, and one of the reasons, as you both know, and our listeners, I'm sure, is that it's for the younger or the upcoming generations to learn from the older ones, and we need to sort of try to structure that and facilitate that. The scriptures could not be clearer that there's a lot that young persons can learn from older persons and vice versa. So mentorship is something that we do. So we have to cater to every demographic in our church, not one or the other. And one of the mistakes, I think, which we're mindful of, is when it's skewed or biased towards one population, one demographic, it turns off the other. And it's really an art and a need for us to balance how we minister to both the younger and the older, so that it doesn't appear that the church is mainly this kind of church or that kind of church.
Yeah. And they aged themselves. What can they do to improve this situation that we are now facing? Dr. McCoy Davis, what would you say to them?
Well, I would encourage our older adults to be themselves, and not to
meaning what?
Yeah, man, I getting there. Not to be reserved, right? That is one thing, because sometimes you're cautious about what you share and what you say to a young person. As Dr. Coombs mentioned, that a part of why the Lord encourages the generation, or has the generation there, is so that we can learn from each other. And the Bible encourages us to do that. So how it is that we can learn and share the information. So an older adult has a wealth of experience, has gone through a lot of things. They can share that knowledge with others. There are sometimes some young people say, leave me, let me have my own experience. But I think in them sharing their experience, then that is important.
Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are totally out of time. Interesting, informative discussion. Thanks so very much for joining us, doctors.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Great. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. For information or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. Of course, this has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and our guests. Please join Mr. Stokely Marshall next week as he continues to look at the issues of the day. I'm Dylan Toussaint. Remind you to be purposeful, faithful, thankful, and of course, watchful as I return you to Love in the Morning.